My name is Mandy Hansen. I'm 28. Thanksgiving smelled like sage and butter. Then Grandpa Douglas asked, Mandy, why is a couple living in the house I bought you? My fork stopped over pumpkin pie. Before I could answer, Mom spoke first. Kevin's parents needed it, she said, smiling too hard. Dad's knife clinked against his plate. Ashley's glass trembled beside me. I don't own any house, I whispered. That's when I realized my family had been living my future without me. Where are you watching from right now? Kitchen, car, or a quiet room? Echoes of Life is here with you. 3 years ago, I graduated top of my class. I thought hard work would finally buy me safety. Instead, my life started shrinking, quietly, month by month. I worked 3 part-time jobs, morning shift at a cafe, afternoons at a daycare, nights cleaning offices downtown. My sneakers smelled like bleach and burnt coffee. I paid student loans first, then rent, then groceries, if anything was left. Some mornings my phone alarm felt like a threat. By noon, my hands shook from cheap energy drinks. Whenever I struggled, my parents preached independence. Figure it out, Mandy. Stop being dramatic. They said it like love. Last month, my landlord taped a notice to my door. I had 5 days. My bank app said $12, $50. I packed my life into trash bags. I slept on friends' couches under scratchy throws. I listened to their fridges hum at night. When couches ran out, I sat in my car. I watched motel signs blur past the windshield. I kept failing rental screenings because my credit looked risky. Meanwhile, Ashley posted lakes photos. A perfect dock. A fire pit. A caption. My new vacation home. I remember double-tapping it on a break. I didn't even feel jealous. Just tired. I never heard from Grandpa during those years. No calls, no letters, no, how are you holding up? I assumed he'd forgotten me overseas. Tonight, he said he bought a house for my future. $1 million lakeside place. And my parents told him I was unstable. They said they were my guardians. They said I couldn't manage money. I kept staring at the pie on my plate. It tasted like nothing. Because one thought kept returning, cold and clear. If they could steal a house, what else had they taken? Dad cleared his throat like a referee. Not at Thanksgiving, he said. Tomorrow, we'll talk in my study. Mom nodded too fast. Mandy, calm down, she whispered. You're worked up. See? This is what Grandpa means. I felt heat crawl up my neck. Not anger. Shame. The old kind that made me go quiet. Grandpa Douglas didn't look at me. He looked at them. His eyes stayed sharp, bored. Mandy, he said, tell me your address. I hesitated. I wasn't used to being asked directly. I gave it anyway, voice small. Mom jumped in. She moves around, she said. She's been unstable. Her smile shook at the edges. My chair legs scraped the wood floor. I stood up slowly. My hands were steady on the table. My stomach wasn't. I was evicted last month, I said. I've been couch surfing. I'm not unstable, I'm broke. Dad's jaw tightened. Watch your tone. Grandpa reached into his coat pocket. He slid a photo across the table. Paper against linen. An ugly sound. The lake house filled the picture. Wide windows. A dock like a line to heaven. And in front, smiling like winners, stood Ashley, Kevin, and his parents. Ashley's lips parted. No sound came out. I went there yesterday, Grandpa said. I wanted to surprise you. A man answered the door. He said, we're Kevin's parents. Mom laughed once, too high. Jet lag, she tried. Douglas, you're exhausted. Grandpa didn't blink. The address is right, he said. The deed is right. What's wrong is you. Ashley clutched her wine glass. Her knuckles turned pale. Grandpa, please, she said. You must be mixed up. I looked at my sister. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. That was the first answer. Dad leaned forward. Mom, Mandy can't manage assets, he said. You told us yourself. We acted as guardians. The word landed like a slap. Guardians. Like I was a hazard. I graduated top of my class, I said. I've never been arrested. I've never been hospitalized. You made me sound dangerous. Mom's voice softened, practiced. We were protecting you. You get emotional. You spiral. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A rent reminder from last month. Still unpaid. Still there. The turkey sat cooling under the chandelier. No one touched it. No one breathed right. Grandpa's fingers drummed the table once. Then he stopped. His voice turned flat. Enough, he said. I didn't come home for excuses. And then Grandpa reached for his phone like a judge. If this were your family, what would you do at the table? Comment 1 if you'd stay quiet, leave, and protect your peace. Comment 2 if you'd demand the deed tonight and blow the lie open. The front door opened with a gust of cold air. A man stepped inside, coat damp from the night. He carried a thick briefcase. His eyes went straight to Grandpa Douglas. You called? He said. This is Mr. Watson, Grandpa said. My attorney. He brought what you hid. Dad pushed back from the table. You can't bring lawyers to Thanksgiving, he snapped. Grandpa didn't argue. He just pointed to the chair. Sit down, George. Mr. Watson set the briefcase on the table. The latches snapped open. He laid out folders, tabbed and heavy. This property is Lakeside Manor, he said. Purchased 3 years ago. Buyer, Douglas Hansen. Grantee on the deed, Mandy Hansen. My name stared back in clean legal print. It looked steadier than my whole life felt. Mom went still. Ashley's wine glass trembled. Dad's eyes skittered away. Mr. Watson slid a page toward me, a deed copy with my name typed clearly. Then he slid another, the county registry summary. And here is the current owner, he said. Ashley Thompson. Ashley's head snapped up. That's a mistake, she said. It's recorded, Mr. Watson replied. Transfer date, October 15th. Consideration, $1. Listed as a gift. $1. I felt my throat tighten. Across the table, Dad swallowed hard. He tried to sound reasonable. Mandy couldn't manage assets, he said. We managed it for her. For her own good. Grandpa leaned forward. You told me she was unstable, he said. You told me you were her guardians. Mom's voice turned soft and warning. She spirals, she said. Look at her now. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I was evicted, I said. I'm not unstable. I'm broke. Grandpa's gaze stayed on my parents. Show me the guardianship papers, he said. Silence. No one reached for anything. Mr. Watson spoke again. There are no court orders, he said. No conservatorship. No legal authority. Dad's face tightened. Ashley jumped in, fast. We didn't steal it, she said. Kevin's parents needed a place. We kept it maintained. Grandpa turned his head slowly. A place, he repeated. Or a profit. Mr. Watson opened another folder. Monthly deposits, he said. From Kevin's parents. Memo line, rent. Ashley's mouth opened, then closed. Mom's eyes flashed to Dad. Dad looked like he might fold in half. My hands gripped the table edge. I thought about sleeping on friends' couches, while strangers paid rent on my house. Grandpa's voice dropped. Mandy, did you ever get my letters? He asked. No, I said, not one. He nodded once like he expected that. Then Mr. Watson slid the last folder forward. It had my full name on the label. Under it, one word. Student loans. That folder was the one that finally explained my $12.50 life. Mr. Watson didn't rush. He opened the loan folder like a case file. Not feelings. Numbers. This is Mandy's repayment account, he said. Every month she deposited what she could. He tapped the dates with his pen. Cafe checks, daycare checks, cleaning checks. Then he slid a second statement across the table. Different account number, different name. Sandra Hansen, my mother. Mom's hand flew to her throat. That can't be right, she whispered. It's an automatic redirect, Mr. Watson said. Set up years ago. The payments never reached the loan servicer. That's why her credit shows delinquency. That's why she can't pass rental screenings. The room felt smaller. I saw my eviction notice again. Trash bags, a borrowed couch, a friend's fridge humming at 2 a.m. My phone still showed $12.50 that morning. I'd blamed myself for years. Now my mother's name sat on the account. Dad started to rise. Grandpa's voice stopped him. Sit. Mom's eyes filled, but I didn't move toward her. She wasn't crying for me. She was crying because the math spoke. Mr. Watson turned to the Lakehouse file. There's more, he said. From Lakeside Manor. He brought up monthly transfers. $5,000, same date, same sender. Kevin Thompson's parents. Ashley gave a brittle laugh. That's maintenance, she said. It's a huge house. Mr. Watson didn't blink. The memo line says rent. and it lands in Ashley's personal account. Grandpa's jaw tightened. "So you stole the deed," he said, "then charged rent on it." Ashley snapped at me. "You weren't using it," she hissed. "You would have wasted it. You can't even keep an apartment." My voice stayed level. "I couldn't keep an apartment," I said, "because my payments were diverted." Dad slammed his palm down. "We did what we had to," he barked. "Mandy is unstable with money. Ashley understands assets." Grandpa leaned forward. "You raised one daughter to accept crumbs," he said, "and another to expect the whole table." He looked at me. "Mandy, tell us what you want." I inhaled slowly. "I want my name cleared," I said. "I want the deed returned. I want every dollar traced. And I want the unstable story ended." I faced my parents. No more managing anything for me. No more calls meant to soften consequences. "If you need to speak to me, use Mr. Watson." Mr. Watson nodded once. "We'll file to restore title immediately," he said. "We'll freeze unauthorized access. And we'll issue a formal demand for restitution." Ashley's face cracked. Mom started pleading. Dad started bargaining. All at once. Grandpa's voice stayed flat. "This is not a discussion," he said. "This is correction." For the first time, they knew I wasn't asking, only reclaiming my life. A year later, my phone doesn't buzz with past due warnings. It buzzes with calendar reminders. Work. Therapy. A dentist appointment I used to postpone. I'm not basically homeless anymore. I rent a small place with clean, quiet rooms. No mold smell. No landlord threats taped to my door. When I turn the key, the lock clicks like safety. Lakeside Manor is in my name again. Not as a fantasy. As a fact, recorded and verified. I don't live there full-time. Sometimes I just drive out, sit on the deck, and listen to the water slap the dock. No shouting. No begging. Just air and space. My parents tried to call after the filings started. First angry, then sweet, then desperate. I didn't answer. Mr. Watson handled what needed handling. I handled my piece. Ashley sent messages too. Long ones, short ones, ones that blamed me for ruining the family. I stopped reading after the first line, because I finally understood something simple. Being related to me was never a license to use me. Grandpa Douglas calls me directly now. Not through my mother, not through updates, just him, asking how my week went. Sometimes he apologizes again for believing them. I don't let him live in that guilt. I tell him the truth. You came back. You looked. You stayed. That matters. I used to think strength meant swallowing things, keeping the table calm, making everyone comfortable while I disappeared. Now I know better. Peace without respect is just another kind of prison. I didn't fix my family. I stopped letting them erase me. And that's what freedom looks like. Quiet, clear, and finally mine. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Echoes of Life will be here with more stories of quiet strength.